Okay, welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and start. Thank you for being here for our presentation on a leave tracking solution in SharePoint. And I'm going to go ahead and begin. So I'm going to do some intros first. We'll cover some ground rules and then we'll get into the main presentation. I am Will Cooper. I am a SharePoint solutions developer. I also run an additional SharePoint platform called SharePoint Dashboards. And I have a YouTube channel called SharePoint Smart, where I post videos about how to solve challenges, build solutions, and do all kinds of interesting things in SharePoint, and also do things with Power Automate and other things that are a part of the Microsoft ecosystem. So that's a little bit about me. Info-wise, we're a team that collaborate and we work to help provide the tool set, which you're going to be seeing today. This is a full comprehensive toolkit that can be added to your SharePoint environment, available both for on-premises SharePoint and also for SharePoint Online, aka Microsoft 365. Our philosophy is to make it simple. We want things to be easy and intuitive. That means our tools do not have to be used by developers. You don't have to do any coding or anything like that. Ultimate Forms, as I mentioned, it's a full tool set that allows you to build all kinds of different solutions in SharePoint. In addition to that, we provide templates which you can download, which brings me to my next point. The solution that I'm demonstrating today, you can download for free from our site after the presentation today. There will be a link on our webinars page where you can install this and try this out and do everything that I'm demonstrating to you. So that's a nice benefit. In terms of questions, although we can't turn on the audio for everybody to talk, we do want your feedback and we would like to answer your questions, and we're interested in your comments. And to do that, you can use the GoToWebinar interface and simply enter questions. At the end of our main presentation, we are going to do a drawing for an embroidered polo shirt with the InfoWise logo on it. If you are in the United States, you're eligible for that drawing. That'll be at the end of the main presentation. After that, there is an extra presentation, which is about SharePoint dashboards. So that's for later. If you want to stick around after our first half hour, that is up to you. As I mentioned, Ultimate Forms is available both for Microsoft 365 and also on-premises SharePoint. So regardless of which SharePoint environment you use, these tools are available to you. This is how I think of out-of-the-box SharePoint. It's limited. Of course, there's all kinds of potential and opportunities, but in terms of building complete solutions, there are things missing. There are things that you're going to want to do, and the tools that you need to do that are not in out-of-the-box SharePoint. So we need something more. Ultimate Forms is aimed at that mission. We provide not only additional capabilities in terms of doing custom forms, but we add a whole array of different capabilities, which include automatic email notifications, workflow related actions, custom print templates, custom indicators, charting, import, export, a whole variety of different things. This is a platform that's evolved and grown every single month since our inception more than 20 years ago. Now we come to the focus of what we want to talk about today and why you guys came, and that's a leave tracking system. So before we get into SharePoint, let's talk about what it is that a leave tracking should accomplish. If it doesn't do these things, it's probably not a great solution. It should be simple to use. All of us are quite familiar with the concept of requesting time off. And so for your staff members, whether they're in a manager role with HR, or whether they're just somebody who needs to take time off next week, this really needs to be an easy system to use. Otherwise, people aren't going to like it and you're not going to have user engagement. So we want to keep it simple. And falling into that approach, we want the form to request time off to be very easy to use and understand. And so there you go. You're seeing an example of a form that accomplishes that. Naturally, we need to incorporate an approval process for time off, and we also want that to be very, very simple. We just need to have the ability for a manager to say, yep, that's fine, you're approved. We want to make sure that our users understand the process exactly. And one way to do that is to include the instructions directly in the form. So that's what I term baked in instructions. We need to make sure that's really easy to do. So everybody knows exactly what to do because it tells them what to do right in the form. Naturally, we need email notifications. If somebody makes a request for time off, the manager needs to be getting an email so they know to go in and approve right away. And then as we accumulate requests and things like that, of course, people are allotted a particular number of days for vacation throughout the calendar year. And so we need to aggregate that information. We need to total it up, see, well, how many days of vacation have they taken for the year? How many they have left, that type of thing. So we need to have an automatic system to keep track of that. So not only the HR staff, but the employees can check and see, well, how many hours do I have left this year, and keep up with that really easily. Another concept which I feel is not handled well often in leave tracking scenarios is capacity planning and concurrency in terms of thinking about which employees are out at the same time. Typically, we've kind of got tunnel vision and we're just thinking about when one particular employee is going to be off. But depending on what type of business or organization you're in, naturally it can cause some challenges for your business if everybody takes off at the same time. So you do need to be able to plan for that. What you're looking at is a leave tracking board, which helps you very easily to visualize and understand if you're going to have a lot of staff off at a particular time, and help you avoid conflicts and do some planning to deal with those challenges as they may come. And that needs to be easy to use as well. So in this case, we just need to be able to mark off which days and what type of leave that's going to be. So that also needs to be easy. We want to have a personalized dashboard for each of the employees. Specifically, what I mean by that is, for most of us, we just need to go in and see our own leave requests and our own leave totals. So we want to have some filtered views for that. Naturally, we want to have some links. To get to that, I don't need to see what everybody else is doing necessarily. I just need to check on my own stuff. And one last thing is we want to have some custom permissions and validations. Obviously, we don't want to have somebody approving their own leave requests. We need to make sure it's only the manager to be able to do that. So we need to have some controls in our form that ensure it's only the manager who's able to do that. And then if they do something like decline the request, we need to make sure they put in some notes. So when that email goes out, the employee would know the reason, that type of thing. All right, let's jump into SharePoint. Here I am in regular, plain vanilla SharePoint Online. I'm in a modern team site, and I've got a dashboard with some quick links. So we're going to look at it from the perspective of the user interface first, and then what I'm going to do is take you around some of the settings and help you understand a little bit about how all the machinery works. Okay, so we've got this list called leave requests, and done some fancy formatting to help it be more visually appealing. As you well know, with SharePoint lists, without any modification, they can be pretty boring to look at. You've just got some dark gray text on a white background. That's not what we're looking for. We want to be able to see color coding to track approval status, and then also for leave type and things like that. So the visual UI is really important. A lot of these things are done using templates from SharePoint dashboards, which we're going to talk about after Ultimate Forms, but these are included in this template, which you can download today after the presentation if you want to try it out. All right, let's look at one of these forms so we can just take a look and understand how that all works. So basically it just puts in the name of the person requesting leave. As I mentioned, there's some instructions in the form, and then we just have the name of the employee and the name of the manager. And then there's an approval, which is only going to show based on who's in the manager field, and some notes. So I'm going to go ahead and do a new leave request, and let me just punch that in now. Now for demonstration purposes, I'm going to be the manager too, just to demonstrate that part of the functionality. So notice when I started the form, it defaulted adding my name in for the employee. So again, I'm just putting my name in just for the demonstration purposes. So really simple. When's your start of when you're going to be gone, and when are you going to come back? So let's just do today and tomorrow. And then we have a leave type. So we're looking for some versatility here. We're not just thinking about vacation. There's different types of leave. There might be training. There could be unpaid. There could be some other reason. So we need to have the ability to have different categories of leave because those are tracked differently, especially when you think of things like being allotted a certain number of paid time off days per calendar year. For this one, I'm just going to do vacation. So that's 2 days. I'm just going to put in 16 hours. And you may be thinking, oh, well, what if they put something wrong? Well, that's part of the reason for the approval for the manager. They can check that and make sure that there's not wrong information here. Okay, that's it. Hopefully you agree that's pretty easy to understand, and that's the way we want it to be. Very streamlined, simple. It's just me saying, I want to take off for these days, and this is the type of time off that I want to do. So that's the request. By default, of course, that's going to be a pending status. That is going to auto-generate an email, which will go out to that manager. So I'll show you an example of one of those. Give me 1 sec. There you go. This isn't the one that I just did. It's from previous, but this is how it works. It just sends an email to the manager that says new leave request of type vacation submitted by so-and-so for these dates, and then whatever notes they might have put in there. And what's really nice about that is it includes the link which goes directly to the form. So that manager doesn't have to go digging around to find the request. They just click on that, they open up the form, and then we'll get to the simple approval next. All right. So the manager is going to go in there, and the way this form is configured, this is part of the Ultimate Forms tools, it makes it so that this approval option only is visible to the manager. So like I said, we can't have employees approving their own requests. And it's a really simple concept. It's just basically a one-click approval. If that's okay with them, which hopefully most of the time it would be, they just say, yeah, that's fine. That's approved. This looks correct. And I'm just going to hit save. And that's it. It just switches it over to approval. Now, additional to this, there's this additional tool. This is our calendar to think about what I mentioned, which was capacity planning and thinking about when staff is going to be out, because you need to be ready for that and not be caught by surprise when, oh shoot, everybody's gone on vacation. That can really cause some hassles and headaches for your business. So you need to use this type of tool. So in the instructions, it mentions that you should go to the leave tracking board. So this is showing bubbles basically and color coded according to the different leave types. So the way this is going to work is you just come into the names. You can hover over this and just click on a name. And I just did vacation for the 16th and 17th. So you just use these slots. So I just put in these 2 days. I'm going to be, this person's on vacation on the 16th and they're on vacation on the 17th. and pretty simple to use. I hope you would agree. I just hit save, and just a few clicks, and then you're going to see that now we see that I'm off on those 2 days. So what's useful here is if you got a bunch of people out at the same time or going to be out, you can catch that in advance, that type of thing. There's some different views here. So I may want to look at previous months. You'll notice there's a way you can do set holidays. This means everybody's gone because that's a holiday. And then I can go between different months. Another view dynamically always shows the next 30 days. So this leave tracking next 30, it's just going to always be today on the first column, which is kind of intuitive. So it's a rolling window if you want to think about it like that. So this view really is superior to what many businesses probably use, which is just the regular old shared Outlook calendar. We're all used to using Outlook, but especially when you're thinking in terms of a large team, that's not really going to show your data in an intuitive manner to help you understand and identify when you're going to have scarce resources in terms of personnel on a particular week. This view addresses that much better and more clearly than that type of calendar view. Okay, so that's the leave tracking board. Hopefully you would agree that's something simple to use and could be a real benefit to help avoid problems for your organization. All right, so there's another list, which is leave totals, okay? So the leave totals, this is automated. So unlike the other 2 lists, you don't have to do updates. There's a workflow behind this, which is automatically going to do calculation. So after I made that update, it updated the amount of hours of vacation that I've used for this calendar year, and then it does the math automatically based on how many hours are available for the year, shows me how many are left. So this is going to help address that situation where your staff may say, how many hours do I have left, or they don't understand in your current system. And so now they can simply go to their leave tracking home and click on, my leave totals, and it's going to filter just for them. They can say, oh, I've got 34 hours of vacation left. I need to take that, by the end of the year, or whatever your policy is. Of course, this is dynamic and adjustable. You can make that work however you want. So in general, your HR staff or the management, you guys would be looking at your leave requests, and if you need to be watching that and managing multiple employees, you'd have a view like that, and then you could use permissions and views to ensure that your staff are just looking at their own records. And so you can just use the SharePoint permissions for that purpose. All right, so let's talk about how the form setup works, that type of thing. So this obviously is a very different interface and form than what you're getting with out-of-the-box SharePoint. So when you have these tools installed, it's an app that you can add to your environment, and it unlocks this design button, and this is the Ultimate Forms Toolbox. This includes all kinds of features and functionality, which allows you to build all kinds of different solutions, this being one of them. And so Form Designer is really kind of the first stop when it comes to building solutions like this. And as I mentioned, you can download and install this template, and it will set up this. You can put this in a practice site if you want to check it out, and it'll do exactly what I've got here. I had mentioned in the beginning, you don't have to do any custom code or programming. So let me just show you a little bit about the Form Designer. So there's a container system. I have different elements. You might notice as I'm hovering over elements, it highlights those. And then on the right side, I can do things like adjust the colors. Maybe I want to go to make this more of, I don't know, light green for some reason. See, I'm just clicking on a color thing. I can hit save, and then it just changes immediately real time. So what you see is what you get. So very, very simple concept to understand. The baked-in instructions I mentioned, same thing. I can just do edit content, type what you want. I like this approach because I don't think it's intuitive to tell people to go off and read a PDF somewhere else. So it's just a nice option so that people don't ask questions. You try to answer those questions right in line with the process that they're doing. Now let me show you how some of the rules work to accommodate what I had mentioned, where only the manager can do the approval. Luckily, that's really easy to set up. I have special rules on my approval button. So I'll show you how this works. There's permissions rules. So first of all, I don't want to see the approval drop down on new. We're not at that step. I don't need to show that. And so the way I can configure it is I just say that field needs to be hidden on the new form, and that's it, save. And notice it's colored red. That's a way to help me know that it's a hide rule. And then I have two more rules. Next one says this should be writable on the edit form if you're the manager. That means the person in the manager field. So the way you do it, you can say manager equals current user. Okay, so if you're the person in the box, then you're going to see that. Otherwise, you don't get that. And then we've got everybody else, right? So we want the other people to see the approval status. It's just that they can't change it. And so you can just do that with a simple read rule, and that's on edit and display. So really intuitive, easy, no programming, and you've got something really handy, which is field level permissions. Really nice. Now I might need to do some other validation. So here's one. If the manager decline the request, we really need them to explain why, because we're going to have an email notification rule, so that goes out automatically when there's a decline. So the way that works, unlike regular SharePoint, where I basically can just indicate whether something's required or not, this can do it dynamically. So it can, under particular condition, do validation. So what I'm interested in is if approvals decline in that particular case, I need to make sure they put in notes. And so I can say column not blank if approvals decline, and it'll give a message which I can program myself. So I just typed that in. I said required if approval decline. That's it. So I can really do some custom settings and configuration to get my form how I want. So I can make it look nice. You can see we put like a nice picture up there just to make it a little more user-friendly and fun. Generally, we think of vacation, that's fun and something we look forward to. So lots of ability to custom control and configure your form to look exactly how you want. So that's really one of my favorite aspects of the Ultimate Forms tools, which is the modern form designer. Yes, I don't want to save those changes. And then additional to that, obviously, want to have email notifications, and luckily those are really easy to manage and set up. So I just go over here into alerts, and I can do all kinds of different ones. So we'll take a look at the one for when there's an approval request. So I just say who I want it to go to, and then I need that to go on add, and then I just put in whatever my content is. So this is a rich text editor interface where I just put in the fields, and you'll notice there's sections that are in square brackets. Those are referencing the SharePoint field. So I say, whoever's in the manager field, it'll insert that name, and then it says a new leave request of type, and then it gets whatever's in the value of the leave type. And so that's how that works. Really very easy. You can click on this add column, you just double click those and it inserts it in the form. And then I can do some polishing. You can see I've highlighted that to green. So just a really nice, simple, easy to use email alert notification settings screen. It just works. And then I can create all kinds of different rules. So as you would imagine, you probably want to have a different type of a notice if there's a decline. You could do reminder emails, if they hadn't approved after a certain period of time, different things like that. So there's some of the settings behind the scenes. We can also do things like the color choice field where I can apply icons. You might have noticed I had some different colored icons, so I can do that here. It's just a way to dress up the UI. It just makes things look nice. So on the InfoWise site, after the presentation today, what you'll be able to do is go to our webinar section, and you'll notice there are links next to the webinars which say install. What that lets you do is go through a little wizard which can install the solution on the site. The way you should do it is just create a blank SharePoint site. So you can make it a sub-site or just a regular site in your SharePoint and just apply to that just to make sure there's nothing else on that site. And then you can basically have exactly what I showed in your SharePoint to check out. And this will be running with the trial. So if you don't have Ultimate Forms yet, this is something you would do with this, try now for free. So that tells you what to do. If you need to install our trial, it's our entire software. It's free for 30 days. So you just click through the buttons, say install, and then pick which version of SharePoint, and then that's pretty much it. You just walk through the steps. If you have any questions or issues with that, our support team is certainly ready and willing to help you out. We've got all kinds of different resources on our site. If you're curious about other HR-related solutions or other kinds of solutions you can do in SharePoint, there's lots and lots of different webinars, so you can check out previous presentations that we've done, and I would think you'll find other examples of tools that are probably similar to what you want to do. In terms of training and learning how to use these tools, we've got a tutorial section which helps you, especially you might check out the Getting Started section if you want to do some practice and you're really just using it for the first time. If you get a little deeper into it, you can also do instructor-led training. So if you're interested, your organization can reserve an instructor-led training session where you can go in depth and really learn all the key concepts about how to use this tool set. So there are lots of options available to you. Okay, so I did promise you guys I would do a drawing for sure. We're going to do that, and then I'm going to get to questions. What I need from you guys is a number from 1 to 100. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds, and I'm going to pick a winner. As a reminder, this needs to be people in the USA. That's because the postage is crazy to mail outside the United States. So give me your guesses, and I'll pick a winner very quickly. Go fast. You guys got 10 seconds. One guess each, please. I like that. Somebody put 120 non-USA. Nice one, Ken. I have a winner. Somebody hit it right on the mark. Cody Kern, you won. Good job. You can send me an email to willc@infowisesolutions.com. That's WILLC@infowisesolutions.com. Send me an address and send me your shirt size, and I'll get it out to you today. Congrats. Okay, let's get to your questions on what I demonstrated. There's a question about, is there a way to keep track of leave in days instead of hours? You could. You'd have to make some adjustments on the form. It really wouldn't be that difficult. It's true the increments could be different, but the field that I have for hours, you could just change that to be for days. So I would say it's easily adaptable. Yes, that really shouldn't cause too much of a challenge. Can you have multiple approval processes? Javier, I didn't totally understand that question. So the way the system works, you would make an individual leave request, and then each of them is handled individually. And of course, any number of leave requests could go in there. You may have been asking me, can there be a multi-level approval? And that could be customized to work that way. Typically in a time off scenario, it's kept pretty simple, but yes, that could happen. Can the manager field be auto-populated? Sure, you could do something like that. You could tap into that. That is available as a user property in SharePoint. So again, it's just an adaptation of what I demonstrated. So it kind of raises a good point. You really should think of this not as what I would describe as a canned solution. What this is a structure and a framework for you guys to have a solution. What's important to understand is these tools are really fluid and flexible and adaptable. And so every organization has different nuances in terms of how they want to do their own tracking. They have different business rules and processes and things like that. So certainly these things can be adjusted to do that. Anthony had a question about for on-premise. I do believe we have templates. I do believe it can be downloaded for that too. I'm pretty sure that we can, so yes. All right, great questions. So if you have further questions or interest as you explore that, feel free to email me. I provided my email just a second ago. Once again, that's willc@infowatchsolutions.com. And we can answer your questions. Another thing that you can do is request a demo. If you want to be able to talk and not be stuck in your questions chat box as you are right now, that's fine. We're happy to talk to you. Just enter your information in the request a demo form. We'll schedule a web meeting with you and we'll get on and we can talk to you about your specific needs, answer your questions, and have a little bit more of a personal conversation. So that's something else that you should consider. Okay, pricing information, there's a pricing link on that. So you can look, basically it's based on the number of users and things like that. I'm not going to delve into that on this call. That can be something we could answer in a follow-up if you want to know more about it. But in general, just look on the pricing link. That'll answer that question. Okay, Ken, your question's a little outside of the topic about attaching receipts and things like that. That'd be more of an expense or time tracking tool. That's different. It's a good question. Certainly that can be accommodated, but it's maybe part of something else. Good question, though. I appreciate that. We are gonna. I should have said that. Yes, this is being recorded and going to be on YouTube later today. Great question. All right, we are going to pivot now and look at some other information. Thank you very much for being attentive and for your interest in our leave tracking solution, and that will be available to you later today, as well as the recording. We're now going to turn the page. We're going to talk about SharePoint dashboards and how that fits into some of what we were just looking at. Before I go to that, I just want to mention real quick, this is my YouTube channel, which is SharePoint Smart. If you just search for SharePoint Smart, you'll find me quickly and easily. And I post all kinds of different videos, which show all kinds of interesting solutions. So I hope you take a peek at that. And if you watch a video or two there and you like it, that'd be fantastic. I'd love for you to be a part of that. And now we're going to talk about SharePoint dashboards. Okay, so SharePoint dashboards is its own independent tool which you can use in conjunction with either SharePoint Online or if you have it SharePoint Subscription Edition for on-premise SharePoint. Some of these templates will work for on-premise SharePoint, but there are some limitations with the Microsoft API. So full disclosure, this is mostly for you SharePoint Online people out there. If you have it, you're in luck. So this is about visualizing SharePoint. The solution we saw today uses quite a few of these templates. So the edit button, that's a free template. And I want to mention before I even get into all that, you can sign up for SharePoint templates and get 20 of these templates free for unlimited use. There are an additional 110 pro templates. That's part of a subscription. But what's good is you can try this out. And if you're liking using it, you can sign up and there's a monthly subscription that you can do. Quite affordable, easy. In the case of SharePoint dashboards, you don't have to install anything to your environment. They're just copy and paste templates that are dynamic. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how they work. So the edit button is one of them. So we'll start basic and work our way into the more intricate things. So this just lets you put a button on your dashboard that takes you to the edit form. That's something missing from modern SharePoint. And the way that this tool works in general, you can pick from different colors and icons and things like that, and basically make things look how you want. So this is kind of the simplest of all templates, if you will. But then we're going to get into the more intricate templates as well. So this employee, this shows whatever profile picture is stored in their Microsoft 365 profile. So that's actually pulling from another template, which is their profile picture. Now, if you get this tool, what's nice is you can do things like configure the width to however you want. You can decide, whether you want to have like a circle around the picture or not, whether you want it to be editable when you click on it, all kinds of different configuration options, which allow me to control the appearance. But that's where that particular one comes from. You'll notice these dates don't look like ordinary SharePoint dates. They're just dressed up into a box. It just makes it look a little bit more interesting. So that one is a template called Datebox. I thought it was called Datebox. Hold on a second. I called it, had so many date templates, I lose track. Yeah, it is Datebox. Okay, so it's that one. And you can have, whatever color scheme and options you want. So there's lots of ways to make that look. But again, it's just a way to make your SharePoint interface look better. This approval one, these are status icons. That's the status icon indicator field. And then we have leave totals. So out of the box, SharePoint does give you some things. If I go into the column formatting, that's really what this is all about, column and view formatting. So SharePoint does give me a couple of options, but what I'm showing basically lets you take that much, much further. The leave tracking board is on the other end of the spectrum. It's a lot more sophisticated, kind of fancy template, but basically what this does is it's working just from a SharePoint list view, and it's taking data automatically and making it appear in that type of interface. So that's part of this. So if I go to leave tracking, there's a template for that. What's good about this is it's going to give me more flexibility. So I can select, if you remember, there's a blue column for holidays, and I have a comma delimited list. That's special, right? Because depending on where you're located, everybody's going to be off on particular holidays and things like that, for New Year's, something like that. And it allows you to identify those dates and show that blue column going up and down the page. And then I can also do things like account for whatever categories of leave I want. So the example I showed you, we had it populated with these ones you see here for holiday, vacation, training, sick, etc. But obviously, as I mentioned earlier, every organization has its own nuances, its own rules. And so you're probably going to want to be able to define your own categories. So this template lets you do that. You can actually reset this. You can define your own, add them in here. And then there's all kinds of things I can do, like adjust the number of days that are in the view. I can decide whether I want, weekends to be grayed out or not. I can decide whether it's going to start at an explicit start date or whether I want to have like the rolling window. That's what that at now did. So these templates are dynamic. In other words, the code for the template is dynamically changed according to the settings that you put into your environment. A couple of interesting ones that have been posted just within the last week are a couple of charting options. That is a big part of this tool. There's 25 different charting options. So if you're looking for an option in SharePoint to do a lot of different kinds of dynamic charting, an alternative to Power BI, this will allow you to do that. Org chart is one of the two that just released. This lets you stylize and build out a org chart in your SharePoint environment dynamically. You can move the cards around, control the colors, and you can decide whether you want to include the profile pictures, which obviously make things look much nicer if you do that. And then the other one closely related to that, which just released, is the flow chart. Let me scroll to that. There it is. It's staring right at me. So similar to the org chart, this lets you basically draw the shapes and arrows, move this around, and draw an org chart directly from a SharePoint list, interact in an interactive manner. So if you want to learn more, what's good about these is there is a tutorial video linked to every one of these templates, believe it or not. So in the gallery, you'll see there's a total of 130 templates. Every single one of these has an instructional video. So you may look at something that you've never done before. You might go in this one and say, this looks cool, but I've never done a polar chart. How in the heck do you do a polar chart? When would I use that? And what you can do is just click on the green button that links you to a video that'll show you exactly how it works. So I do want to restate to you that what's good is you can dip your toes in the water, so to speak. You can go here and sign up for free, and that will let you get access to 20 free templates that are quite useful. It includes a lot of very useful options, including an inline edit mode option, and then many of the buttons that are commonly used, like the the edit button, view button, email button. There's lots of button options that are free, as well as some other formatting options. So that'll let you explore and see how it works. And if you really like that, then you can try this out for a month. You can sign up. It's not a huge commitment where you have to think about getting a license for a year or anything like that. You can just start for a month and then have access to everything. So that was just to tell you a little bit about SharePoint dashboards, which I, of course, wanted to mention because a lot of those templates were used as a part of this leave tracking solution that we were just looking at. All right, so I'm going to your questions now. I like the questions. I don't like to talk and not be able to interact with you. A mobile device, it uses responsive design, generally speaking. So that's true for all of modern SharePoint. So it should work pretty well, Ken. Obviously, you have less real estate on your mobile phone. One comment I would mention to you is that you should use your browser on your phone as opposed to the SharePoint app. I don't want to delve into all the reasons behind that, but in general, that will just work better. Carlos, this SharePoint Dashboards is its own independent site. So it's a platform that I run. The template for the leave tracking system is with InfoWise. And when you go to their website later today, you can download it and it will include everything that I saw in the demonstration. So basically, I work closely with InfoWise and I utilize them in all the solutions that I build, but also in addition to that, because I love SharePoint, I do all kinds of things. And so this is its own tool set, which you can explore and use in addition to what Ultimate Forms is providing. Could it be used in a team site? There's a question about drill down dashboard. Yeah, there is. Well, yeah, there's cascading drop downs. I don't know that's what you're talking about, but the best thing I can recommend is just to sign up, and you can look at videos and demonstrations of all the templates. You could use it in Teams site, Cody, yes, because you can surface SharePoint lists in Teams tab, so you 100% can. And furthermore, you can use it in the Microsoft Lists app. So the way I would encourage you to think about that, in many ways, Teams is really a different interface for SharePoint. For example, all the documents you store in Teams, those are actually being stored in SharePoint. So showing SharePoint lists in Teams is quite easy to do, and everything that you would see would work in that. So that's a good question. Jessica, I don't know the answer to that question. If you want to send a follow-up email to us, we could try to adjust that. But I'm sorry, I don't know about that. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I'm going to stop the recording. I'm going to stay on in case you guys have additional questions. Thank you again for coming and attending our presentation. You will have access to a link to the YouTube video, and also you will have access to the template that I showed later today. So you can try it out for yourself and learn how to use the tools and try Ultimate Forms if that's something new to you. All right, thank you, everybody.